France, a nation steeped in thousands of years of rich history, stands as one of the most influential countries not only in Europe, but across the globe. It has earned its place as a global powerhouse. From the Roman conquest and the Hundred Years' War to the French Revolution, the Napoleonic era, and the World Wars, France's journey has been nothing short of extraordinary. Arguably, it is one of the most significant nations in European history. Unsurprisingly, France also boasts one of the oldest and most formidable militaries in the world. Its armed forces, comprising the traditional branches of the Army, Navy, and Air Force, are a testament to its enduring strength. Though it may not match the colossal scales of the United States, Russia, China, or India in terms of manpower, France's strength lies in its precision and power. Its nuclear capabilities and elite special operations forces ensure it remains an indomitable presence on the global stage, a nation whose voice cannot be ignored and whose strength is ever present. If we start diving into French history and its military as a whole, this video might get so long that I'll miss Christmas. So we're going to stick to just one subject, the Special Operations Forces of France. When you think of Special Forces, what comes to mind? The British SAS, the American Delta Force, Russian Spetsnaz, or India's Marcos? But what about France? What kind of Special Forces capabilities do they bring to the table? That's exactly what we're here to find out. In this video, we'll take a closer look at the elite French Special Forces and uncover what makes them stand out. This video is part of my Special Forces series that I started, where I break down the elite units of different countries. So far, I've covered the Special Forces of a few nations, with plenty more still to come. If you haven't checked those out yet, be sure to take a look. Before we dive into the video, a quick reminder. I'm not an expert, and I might get things wrong. Since we're exploring special operations, some details may be vague due to their secretive nature. While I've done my best to provide accurate information, some of it could be outdated or incorrect. If you spot any inconsistencies, please share them in the comments with details. I'd really appreciate it. Now, without further ado, let's dive in. The French Special Forces, much like their counterparts in the UK, trace their origins back to the Second World War. They were established following the British model with two primary missions in mind. The first was the oversight of irregular or partisan forces operating behind enemy lines, inspired by the British Special Operations Executive, SOE, and carried out in France by the Central Bureau of Information and Action, BCRA. The second involved commando operations conducted by French units such as the Marine Commandos or the French elements of the Special Air Service, SAS. Here's a quick lesser-known fact. During World War II, the 3rd and 4th Special Air Service regiments, part of the British SAS Brigade, were composed of free French personnel. After the war, these regiments were transferred to the French Army and renamed the 2nd and 3rd Parachute Chasseur Regiments. While most of these units were disbanded after the war, they were later re-established in various forms and played pivotal roles during the wars of decolonization. Over time, the concept of a spirit of the commando began to influence conventional forces, sometimes blurring the lines between shock troops modeled after elite units and traditional forces. Meanwhile, true special action capabilities became the domain of French foreign intelligence services like the SDECE, or External Documentation and Counter-Espionage Service. Established in 1945 and replaced by the DGSE, or General Directorate for External Security, in 1982, these agencies oversaw intelligence and covert operations, primarily through their action division known as the Service Action. The end of the Cold War brought significant changes to the role and structure of French special forces. The infamous Rainbow Warrior affair in 1985 severely tarnished the reputation of the Service Action, raising questions about its operational methods. Around the same time, the creation of the U.S. Special Operations Command, USSOCOM, in 1987, and its effective deployment during the Gulf War in 1991, highlighted France's lag in adopting a unified approach to special operations. Spurred by Defense Minister Pierre Jacques, France recognized the need to streamline its special operations under a unified military command. This led to the creation of the COS, or Special Operations Command, in 1992. COS was tasked with operational control over all designated special forces. With their status officially defined by the Chief of the Defense Staff, this marked a major step in modernizing France's approach to special operations, aligning it with global standards. Today, after extensive planning and reorganization, French special operations have evolved into a well-structured and efficient system. As we discussed earlier, COS, or Special Operations Command, serves as the central authority for France's special forces. COS operates under the orders of the Chief of Defense Staff and the direct authority of the President of the French Republic. Under COS, the organization oversees 3 Special Operations Commands, one for each military branch. The Army Special Action Command, or CAST, or CAST, oversees the French Army's special forces. The Navy Command, known as the Force of Marine Fusiliers and Commandos, or FORFUSCO, commands the elite units of the French Navy. The Air Special Forces Brigade, or BFSA, manages the French Air and Space Force's special operations, as the French Air Force renamed its name to Air and Space Force on the 10th of September 2020. Now let's dive into the Army Special Forces of France. In the beginning, there was the Special Autonomous Group, or Groupement Special Autonome, GSA, created in 1997. The GSA oversaw key Army Special Forces units, including the renowned 1st Marine Infantry Parachute Regiment, 1st RPIMA, and the ALAT Special Operations Detachment, DAOS, which is the Special Operations Detachment for Army Aviation Service, further strengthening the Army's special operations capabilities. This framework continued to evolve, leading to the activation of the Land Special Forces Brigade, or BFST, on July 1st, 2002. The BFST included elite units like the 13th Paratrooper Dragoons Regiment, 13th RDP, and remained relatively unchanged during the Ministry of the Armed Forces reforms between 2008 and 2014. However, significant transformation came in 2016 with the implementation of the In Contact Plan. The BFST was restructured into the Land Special Forces Command, or CFST. This reorganization brought together around 2,500 personnel and integrated units such as the 1st RPIMA, 13th RDP, the 4th Special Forces Helicopter Regiment, the Special Operations Support Group, a Command and Transmission Company, CCTFS, and the Special Forces Academy, known as Ares Center. Most recently, as of 2024, the CFST transitioned into the Special Actions Command, or CAST. This new command introduces 3 critical capabilities: influence operations, operational military partnerships, and cyber defense. These additions reflect France's adaptation to modern conflict scenarios, including hybrid warfare and the increasing importance of psychological operations, PSYOPs. Now that you're familiar with the Army Special Forces Command, let's take a closer look at its key Special Forces units, starting with the 1st Marine Infantry Parachute Regiment, or Régiment de Parachutistes d'Infanterie de Marine, 1st RPIMA. This unit, which operates under the French Army Special Forces Command and the broader Special Operations Command, COS, is considered France's premier Tier 1 Special Forces unit. Despite the Marine in its name, the 1st RPIMA is not a naval unit but part of the French Army. This distinction originates from a tradition dating back to 1762, when the French Navy was assigned detachments of Army troops for amphibious assaults and naval garrison duties. The 1st RPIMA traces its heritage to diverse origins, including the French Air Force, mainland infantry, colonial forces from the French Empire, and the French Marines. However, its most profound connection lies with the Free French paratroopers of the 3rd and 4th Squadrons of the Special Air Service, SAS. Often called the French SAS, the regiment proudly carries forward the British SAS motto, Qui ose gagne, French for Who Dares Wins. The story of this elite unit began on September 15, 1940, when Captain
Georges Berger
founded the 1st Air Infantry Company, 1E Compagnie d'Infanterie de l'Air, or 1st CIA, in the United Kingdom. The unit quickly earned its reputation in 1941 by carrying out bold clandestine missions in occupied Europe, often operating in plain clothes. On January 1, 1942, the 1st CIA came under the command of David Stirling, the legendary founder of the British SAS. Under Stirling's leadership, the 1st CIA grew in capability, eventually becoming a full-fledged Special Forces unit. The French SAS commandos distinguished themselves as skilled desert fighters during the North African campaigns of 1942-1943. By November 1943, Free France had formed the 3rd and 4th Air Infantry Units, which were integrated into the SAS alongside the British 1st and 2nd SAS regiments. In 1945, following the end of World War II, the French SAS units were transferred to the French Army. Over the years, these units underwent numerous redesignations and restructures, evolving through various conflicts in French history. The 1st Marine Infantry Parachute Regiment, as it is known today, was established in 1960. In 1973, it officially became a dedicated special operations unit, solidifying its place as one of the most elite forces in the French military. Since 1992, the 1st Marine Infantry Parachute Regiment, 1st RPIMA, has operated under the Special Forces Command, COS, the French equivalent of the U.S. Special Operations Command, US SOCOM, or the British United Kingdom Special Forces, UKSF. Renowned for its modern capabilities, advanced training, and extensive operational experience, the 1st RPIMA is one of France's premier special forces units. The regiment comprises approximately 1,000 personnel, divided into specialized companies, each referred to as an SAS company. These companies focus on distinct areas of expertise. One SAS company. This unit specializes in airborne assaults, including HAHO and HALO parachuting, underwater operations, counterterrorism, and VIP protection. 2 SAS company. Experts in extreme environment operations, these operators are specialists in jungle, mountain, desert, and Arctic warfare. 3 SAS company. Focused on vehicle-borne operations, this company conducts long-range motorized reconnaissance patrols and sabotage missions. 4 SAS company. Urban warfare specialists. They excel in hostage rescue, urban reconnaissance, and close-quarters combat. Supporting these operational units are several additional companies that ensure the regiment functions efficiently. Command and Logistics Company, responsible for organizing and maintaining the regiment's operations in the field. Training and Operations Company manages recruitment and provides extensive training for operators. Signals Company ensures seamless communication during missions. Research and Development Cell focuses on innovation and adapting new technologies for special operations. The 1st RPIMA is based in Bayonne, a location that offers access to amphibious and mountain training environments. The base's proximity to the Adapted Training Center, Centre d'Entraînement Adapté, CTA, Europe's largest and most advanced close-quarter battle, CQB, facility, further enhances its capabilities. Additionally, nearby facilities, including the Special Forces Aviation Detachment and the French Army Airborne School, are integral to the regiment's training and operations. Becoming part of the 1st RPIMA is a rigorous process, with applicants typically required to have at least 3 years of experience in the French Army. Civilians may also apply, but they must complete additional training courses. All applicants, whether military or civilian, must be under 29 years old. Officers and NCOs joining the regiment must undergo the same selection and training process as enlisted personnel. Candidates are chosen based on unit requirements and their personal profiles. For example, if the regiment needs mountain warfare specialists, candidates with relevant expertise are prioritized. Applicants who are not already part of an airborne regiment must complete 2 weeks of basic airborne training before advancing to Special Forces training. After that, there is the initial selection and adaptation training, where candidates face extreme physical and mental challenges, including exposure to harsh temperature conditions and sleep deprivation. Teamwork and endurance are closely assessed during this phase. The adaptation training, known as Stage Commando, lasts 12 weeks and has the highest dropout rate. Then there is the final phase, known as Airborne Reconnaissance and Special Action Training, RAPAS, spans 6 months. This intensive program focuses on specialized skills for reconnaissance and special operations. Only those who complete this stage are fully assigned to the regiment as Special Forces operators. Once assigned, operators undergo additional training in specific domains such as protection, reconnaissance, or technical expertise, ensuring that the 1st RPIMA remains at the forefront of modern special operations. With roots tracing back to the Second World War, the 1st RPIMA has drawn from the expertise of elite British and American special forces to refine its craft. Over the years, it has earned its place as a premier Tier 1 Special Forces unit, often compared to the U.S. Delta Force and the British SAS. While much of their operational history remains classified, the 1st RPIMA has been involved in significant global conflicts, including the 1991 Gulf War, the Bosnian War, and operations in Afghanistan. The 1st Marine Infantry Parachute Regiment is not the only special forces unit of the French Army under COS. Another prominent unit is the 13th Parachute Dragoon Regiment, or 13th Régiment de Dragons Parachutistes, or 13th RDP, a specialized reconnaissance unit. Based in Martigny-sur-Jaille, it is one of the oldest regiments in the French Army, originally raised in 1676 as a dragoon regiment. Dragoons were a class of mounted infantry who used horses for mobility. Over the centuries, the regiment evolved through several transformations, becoming an armored unit in 1936. It served in this capacity during World War II, suffering significant losses. After the war, the regiment underwent dissolution and reconstruction several times before finally being re-established in 1952 as an airborne reconnaissance unit. By the late 1950s, it had transitioned into a long-range reconnaissance and tactical intelligence unit. In April 1960, the French Army and Germany formed an experimental long-range intelligence company, the 7th Company of Commandos. Drawing on lessons learned from operations in Indochina and Algeria, the company developed procedures for survival and reconnaissance behind enemy lines. These innovations and personnel were absorbed by the 13th RDP. By 1963, the regiment had formally taken on its long-range reconnaissance patrol mission, emerging from its experimental phase. Initially subordinate to the BRGE, the French Army's Military Intelligence and Electronic Warfare Brigade, the 13th RDP is now part of the French Special Operations Command, COS. The 13th RDP is an elite unit specializing in covert reconnaissance and operations deep behind enemy lines. Comparable to the British Special Reconnaissance Regiment, SRR, it is trained for deep penetration into enemy territory. As an airborne parachute unit, its members are adept at parachuting directly into operational areas. The primary mission of the regiment is to gather human intelligence in hostile environments, including aquatic, cold mountainous, equatorial forest, and desert regions, using small autonomous teams. These teams operate discreetly, positioning themselves close to targets for intelligence collection and transmission. A key aspect of their work involves hideout operations, where they establish camouflaged observation and transmission areas. In recent years, the regiment has also adopted urban surveillance techniques, including the installation of cameras and sensors for remote monitoring. Officially, the 13th RDP is tasked with strategic intelligence collection. The high skill level of its operatives means the regiment is frequently called upon by other military forces for special reconnaissance missions. The 13th RDP is organized into 7 operational squadrons, alongside a squadron dedicated to administrative and logistical functions. 1st Squadron, Specialized Training Squadron, responsible for training personnel, officers, and non-commissioned officers, NCOs for airborne missions, often referred to as the Academy of the 13th RDP. 2nd Squadron focuses on operations in maritime, inland water, and jungle environments. 3rd Squadron specializes in mountain infiltration and extreme cold environments. 4th Squadron conducts reconnaissance and surveillance in desert environments, utilizing vehicles and equipment suited to such conditions. 5th Squadron focuses on urban operations and airborne infiltration, including HALO, high altitude low opening, and HAHO, high altitude high opening jumps. 6th Squadron provides communications, drone support, and technical surveillance assistance to other squadrons. 7th Squadron handles intelligence collection and analysis. It also serves as the regiment's reserve unit. Additionally, a command and logistics squadron manages operational planning, human resources, maintenance, logistics, and budget coordination. The total personnel strength of the 13th RDP is estimated to be around 600 to 700 members. Becoming part of the 13th RDP is a demanding process. Prospective recruits undergo rigorous training courses to qualify. Given the unit's focus on high-quality personnel for operating in various hostile environments, selection and training are among the toughest in the French Special Operations Forces. The first stage is the initial training, which continues for 11 weeks. Then there is the specialty training for 17 weeks. After that, there is the paratrooper certification course, which goes on for 2 weeks. Finally, recruits go through the military driving training for special operations. But that's not all. After completing these courses, recruits undergo basic specialty training for 29 weeks, which prepares them to become fully operational members of the regiment. Those aspiring to be officers must also complete an additional 8-week basic general training program. The missions, operational techniques, and equipment used by the 13th RDP are classified. However, the regiment has participated in major operations including the Gulf War, missions in Afghanistan, and deployments in various African regions. Its expertise and capabilities make it a critical asset in France's special operations landscape. The 4th Special Forces Helicopter Regiment, or 4th RHFS, is the Special Operations Aviation Unit of the French Army Light Aviation, ALAT. As part of the French Army Special Forces Command and under the broader French Special Operations Command, COS, its mission is to transport and provide air support to Special Forces units anywhere in the world. The 4th RHFS was established in 1997, inheriting the traditions of the 4th Command and Maneuver Helicopter Regiment, 4th RHCM. The origins of its specialization in supporting French Special Forces can be traced back to 1992, when the first helicopter patrol dedicated to this role was formed. This led to the creation of the Special Operations Squadron, EOS, in 1993, which became the AL-8 Special Operations Detachment, DAOS, in 1997. In 2009, the DAOS transitioned into the 4th RHFS, taking on its current role and designation. Equipped with a versatile and powerful fleet of helicopters, the 4th RHFS plays a crucial role in the fight against international terrorism. Over the years, it has proven itself as an indispensable part of special operations, conducting high-speed, precision actions against strategic targets in various theaters of conflict. Its efficiency, adaptability, and combat prowess have solidified its reputation as a formidable unit within the COS framework. Recruitment for the 4th RHFS is mainly indirect, drawing from all categories of military personnel. Selection is rigorous, with candidates undergoing specialized training tailored to the regiment's operational commitments. This ensures that personnel are well prepared to meet the demands of high-risk, global special operations missions. Through its expertise in aerial operations and seamless integration with ground special forces, the 4th RHFS remains a vital asset in France's defense and counterterrorism efforts. Like the 1st RPIMA and the 13th RDP, the 4th RHFS is composed of a staff and 7 operational squadrons. Squadron 1 operates new-generation Cougar helicopters, versatile for troop transport and logistics. Squadron 2 focuses on Gazelle helicopters, known for their agility and reconnaissance capabilities. Squadron 3 deploys Caracal helicopters, specialized in long-range missions and capable of performing combat search and rescue operations. Squadron 6 utilizes Tiger attack helicopters, providing aerial firepower and close air support to ground units. Squadron 7 serves as the regiment's support squadron, reinforcing operational squadrons with personnel trained for specific roles. Squadron 8 handles the maintenance of maneuver helicopters, ensuring the fleet's readiness for operations. Squadrons 4 and 5 of the 4th Special Forces Helicopter Regiment are part of the Joint Helicopter Group, or GIH. All right, let's pause for a moment and talk about the GIH. This joint service organization was created in 2006 with the primary mission of supporting the intervention forces of the Ministry of the Interior, particularly the GIGN and RAID. The GIH is staffed by personnel from both the Army and the Air Force, operating SA-330 Puma transport helicopters. While it reports organically to the Army, it is attached to the 4th RHFS and falls under the operational command of COS. The group consists of 2 main elements. Special Operations Squadron 4, provided by the Army. This squadron contributes a larger number of helicopters. Special Operations Squadron 5, supplied by the Air Force, offering additional capabilities. The leadership of the GIH reflects its joint nature, with a senior Army officer as the commander and a second-in-command from the Air Force. In summary, the GIH, a joint service organization composed of Army and Air Force personnel, is part of the Army's 4th RHFS and placed under the employment authority of the COS. Its primary mission is to provide support to the GIGN and RAID. In addition to the three primary Special Forces units under the French Army Special Operations Command, several other specialized units play critical roles in supporting and enabling special operations. The Special Forces Command and Signals Company, or CCTFS, was established in 2007. This unit's mission is to provide robust tactical and operational communication links for Special Forces groups. Trained to operate under extreme conditions, often in hostile environments, they work closely with Special Forces in action. Their core expertise lies in radio operations, and they manage communication networks for command posts, ensuring seamless connectivity through networked command information systems. There is also the Special Operations Support Group, which provides essential logistical and operational support to other Special Forces units during missions. Made up of personnel from various Army regiments, this group offers a high level of versatility and expertise that is crucial for the success of special operations missions. Additionally, the Special Forces Academy is responsible for overseeing the training and development of all Special Forces personnel. This institution ensures that operatives across all units meet the high standards required for special operations, maintaining a consistent level of excellence within France's elite forces. Now, even though we've wrapped up discussing the French Army's Special Forces units, it would feel like a disservice not to mention the legendary French Foreign Legion. The French Foreign Legion is an elite formation of the French Army with a storied history and a reputation that precedes it. Established in 1831, it was originally designed to allow foreign nationals to serve in the French armed forces. Over time, it evolved into a versatile corps comprising infantry, cavalry, engineers, and airborne troops. Historically, the Legion was a key component of the Army of Africa, the French Army's colonial forces tied to its endeavors in North Africa. This connection lasted until the conclusion of the Algerian War in 1962. Legionnaires are renowned for their rigorous training, which emphasizes traditional military skills and instills a unique esprit de corps. This strong morale is fostered by the diversity of its recruits, who hail from various countries and cultures. Training is often described as not only physically demanding, but also psychologically intense, reflecting the Legion's reputation for resilience. Legionnaires may apply for French citizenship after 3 years of service, or immediately if they sustain injuries in battle for France, a privilege referred to as being French by spilled blood. Despite its elite status, the French Foreign Legion is not part of the Special Operations Command, COS. After all, entrusting foreign soldiers with highly classified operations and sensitive intelligence might not be the wisest move, right? But the Legion's capabilities are undeniable. While the Foreign Legion itself isn't classified as a special forces unit, it does possess commando groups embedded within its various regiments. These units are considered special operations capable, not part of the COS, not officially special forces, but highly trained. Here's a breakdown of these commando groups. Amphibious Engagement Support Platoon of the 1st Foreign Cavalry Regiment. Engineer Combat Divers of the 1st Foreign Engineer Regiment. The 2nd Foreign Infantry Regiment, the 3rd Foreign Infantry Regiment, and the 13th Foreign Legion Demi-Brigade each have their own commando units called Dismounted Engagement Assistance Sections. There are 2 units under the 2nd Foreign Engineer Regiment, the Engineer Combat Divers and the Mountain Commando Group. These units within the Legion are undeniably formidable. However, let's be clear, these commandos are not special forces. The commando groups are specialized units, trained to a higher standard to support their regiment's specific missions. They operate within the scope of their assigned tasks and have no direct connection to special forces. Their training and mission profiles, while advanced, are worlds apart from the level of expertise and the nature of operations conducted by actual special forces. Now that we've covered the French Army, let's turn our attention to the French Air Force. The French Air Force, now known as the Air and Space Force, also has its own Special Operations Command under the COS. This is called the Air and Space Force Special Forces Brigade, BFSA. The BFSA was established on September 1st, 2020, following a restructuring of the Air and Space Army Special Resources. Its primary goal is to enhance the operational readiness of France's air-based special forces and support air units that contribute to special operations. The BFSA plays a key role in air-surface integration, which coordinates air, ground, and maritime assets to maximize operational success through their combined strengths. The units within the BFSA are highly specialized, covering a range of tasks. These include training recruits to become proficient Special Forces operators and executing specific types of special operations. Under the BFSA, 3 commando units date back to their creation during the Algerian War in 1956: Air Parachute Commando No. 10, CPA-10, Air Parachute Commando No. 20, CPA-20, and Air Parachute Commando No. 30, CPA-30. CPA-20 specializes in providing security for air bases and their surrounding areas. After several restructurings, the unit officially adopted its current name in 1999. Its primary missions include long-range protective patrols in armored vehicles, defending against low-level air attacks from helicopters, and forward air control. Although the CPA-20 is trained for parachuting and direct action operations, it is not classified as a Special Forces unit, often being compared to the RAF Regiment of the British Royal Air Force. CPA-30 was established in 1956 and officially named Air Parachute Commando No. 30 in 1999. Initially, it had similar responsibilities to CPA-20. However, in July 2019, the unit was integrated into the Air Force Special Forces, making it a relatively new addition to France's Special Forces roster. CPA-30 specializes in the integration of air resources into operations. Its 2 core missions are isolated personnel recovery. This includes combat search and rescue and airborne search and rescue with operational parachuters. Close air support, encompassing ground-assisted air interdiction, air mobility, and intelligence support. To carry out its missions, CPA-30 is organized into several specialized groups with unique capabilities, including insertion and recovery teams, responsible for land and air infiltration, exfiltration, and personnel recovery. Air support units, specialize in tactical air control party operations, intelligence gathering, and reconnaissance of landing zones. Long-range precision shooting teams, deploy snipers for highly accurate strikes. Airborne fire support teams, operators trained in precision shooting from aerial platforms. K9 units, focus on explosive detection and human intelligence gathering through the use of trained dog teams. Communications teams, experts in transmissions and advanced information systems for seamless combat operations, and the operational command that provides strategic support for combat search and rescue and air support missions. Once fully integrated and operational, CPA-30 aims to provide robust support and assistance for special operations, making it a valuable asset to the Air Force's Special Forces capability. And finally, the Air Parachute Commando No. 10, CPA-10, is the premier Special Forces unit of the French Air Force. CPA-10 is regarded as the only Tier 1 unit within the Air Force, in contrast to CPA-30. Many of its personnel are drawn from CPA-20 and CPA-30. Officially established in 1956 during the Algerian War, CPA-10 was formally integrated into France's Special Operations Command in 1994. The unit specializes in counterterrorism, unconventional warfare, special reconnaissance, combat search and rescue, and aerial guidance operations, including those conducted by Joint Terminal Attack Controllers, JTACs. CPA-10 is also trained for high-value target capture, recovery and security of air bases, observation and destruction of sites using air-delivered weapons, and secure evacuation missions. Much of the unit's operations remain classified, but it is known to have been active in Afghanistan, Mali, Burkina Faso, and other regions across Africa. CPA-10 has also conducted counterterrorism missions targeting several high-profile terrorist organizations. In addition to the commando units, the BFSA also includes the Special Operations Division, DOS. Within the DOS, there are 2 key units, the Transport Section 361, also known as 361 Poitou or ET-361, and the Helicopter Section 167, referred to as 167 Pyrenees or EH-167. These units provide tactical and strategic transport as well as aerial support for special operations. Now let's shift our focus to the Navy. Just like the Army and Air Force, the Navy has its own Special Operations Command, known as the Maritime Force of Marines and Commandos, or FUSCO. This organization oversees and commands the Navy Marines and the Commandos Marine. FUSCO is responsible for a range of operations, including advanced force and reconnaissance missions conducted from the sea, protection of key sites and vessels belonging to the French Navy, provision of security for naval forces, special operations. While special operations are a significant responsibility of FUSCO, it is also tasked with many other duties that are not related to special operations. Within this organization are the Navy Marines, who are regular sailor riflemen. It's important not to confuse them with the Marine troops of the French Army, who are often referred to as the actual French Marines. The Navy Marines are part of the French Navy and are not a special forces unit. Instead, they serve as a naval security forces unit. Their primary role is to safeguard sensitive Navy sites, such as naval bases, French naval aviation facilities, and transmission stations. They are also responsible for reinforcing protection provided by naval forces, which includes maintaining order on ships and defending naval vessels against potential attacks. Under FUSCO, we find the Commando Marine, the Special Operations Forces, SOF, of the French Navy, and an essential component of the Special Operations Command, COS. Interestingly, despite the U.S. Army's Green Berets being widely recognized by that nickname, the French Navy commandos also go by Green Berets, a nod to their iconic headgear. The Commandos Marines specialize in offshore operations, sea-to-land transitions, and special missions on land. Their versatile capabilities extend to hostage rescue, counterterrorism, underwater operations, intelligence gathering, and direct action. They can deploy via sea, air, or land to execute a wide range of specialized tasks. These commandos trace their origins back to 1942 during World War II, when they were formed in the United Kingdom and modeled on the British commandos. They were initially composed of free French volunteers from various services, including Navy Marines, other naval specialties, and even the Army. Trained at the Commando Training Center in Achnacarry, Scotland, they became part of No. 10, Inter-Allied Commando, operating as the 1st and 8th Troops. Today, the Commandos Marine are often compared to the U.S. Navy SEALs and the British SBS for their elite capabilities. It's essential to note that the Commandos Marine is not a single unit, but a collective of distinct units, each with its unique history and specialization. Every unit is named after a fallen officer who died in combat, underscoring the legacy and sacrifice embedded in their identities. Currently, there are 7 active Commando Marine units. Commando Jobert, motto, United We Conquer. Named after Captain Francois Jobert, a Marine officer killed in French Indochina in 1946. Jobert originates from the Merlet Company, created in 1944 by free French sailors for reconnaissance missions in Asia. Jobert is known for operations in Indochina, Algeria, and anti-piracy missions in the Red Sea. It played a critical role in Operation Alba during the 1997 Albanian Civil War, conducting beach reconnaissance for evacuating Western nationals. Specialties: direct action, maritime and land-based counterterrorism, hostage rescue, hot extractions, and close-quarters combat on both sea and land. Commando de Montfort, motto, rather death than defilement. Named after Lieutenant Louis de Montfort, who led the Merlet Company during a battle in Haiphong, Indochina in 1946 before being killed in action. Initially disbanded in 1954 and later reinstated, Montfort specializes in reconnaissance, tactical intelligence, long-range neutralization, JTAC operations, and remote support, including mortar and anti-tank weaponry. Montfort has participated in missions ranging from counterinsurgency in Indochina to Operation Espadon during the 1997 Sierra Leone Civil War, where they helped evacuate citizens of over 21 nationalities. Commando de Penfentenyo, motto, United We Conquer. Named after Lieutenant Alain de Penfenyo, a Navy officer killed during a riverine raid in Indochina in 1946. Specializing in reconnaissance and intelligence operations, Penfen is comparable to Montfort in its capabilities. Penfentenyo commandos have been regularly deployed to Djibouti and are known for their rigorous desert training, nicknamed the Path of the Unconscious. Historical deployments include the Suez Crisis in 1956, where they captured Port Said, and extensive operations during the Algerian War in the 1960s. Commando Tripel, motto, United We Conquer. Commando Tripel is named after Captain Charles Tripel, an Army artillery officer in the Free French Forces who commanded the 8th French Troop of No. 10, Inter-Allied Commando. Captain Tripel went missing in action on February 28, 1944, during a night reconnaissance raid in Wassenaar, the Netherlands, following Operation Hardtack. As experts in maritime engagements and counter-terrorism at sea, Commando Tripel is one of the leading units in this field. They specialize in direct action, assaults at sea and on land, hot extractions, and close-quarters battle in both environments. Their proficiency in land and maritime counter-terrorism roles is unparalleled. Tripel's missions often align with those of other units, focusing on operations like anti-piracy and counterinsurgency. During Operation Serval, Tripel played a significant role in combating insurgent threats. Additionally, the unit is frequently showcased as a symbol of French military excellence, with notable participation in events like France's Innovation Defense 2018 and SOFIN 2019, where they demonstrated cutting-edge special forces equipment. Commando Kiefer, motto, honor and country. Named after Lieutenant Commander Philippe Kiefer, who led the 1st Marine Commando Battalion during the Normandy landings on D-Day. Kiefer was one of the first Free French Forces members to enter Paris during its liberation. Though he was not killed in action, Kiefer passed away on November 20, 1962, after a prolonged illness. He remains one of France's most celebrated war heroes and naval officers. Commando Kiefer was established on June 6, 2008, during the D-Day commemoration ceremony in Ouistreham. It serves as the command and control unit of the Commandos Marine, providing logistical support and ensuring weapon maintenance during deployments of other units. The unit's expertise spans command and control operations, specialized support roles such as drone operations and combat dogs, operational intelligence, electronic warfare, and CBRN, chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear warfare. Commando Ponchardier, motto, in life and death. Named after Commander Pierre Ponchardier, who created and led the Far East Parachute Commando, also known as SASB, or the Tiger Commandos. The unit fought until its disbandment in 1946. Ponchardiers' life was tragically cut short on January 27, 1961, when the Grumman JRF-5 Goose aircraft he was aboard crashed on takeoff and caught fire at the Tambacounda airfield in Senegal. Following this accident, the Grumman JRF-5 Goose was withdrawn from service. Ponchardier is regarded as one of France's most distinguished naval officers. His legacy was revived in 2015 with the re-establishment of Commando Ponchardier, which had been dissolved in 1946. This unit specializes in operational support, maritime operations with specialized vehicles, land engagements using adaptive vehicles, air insertions, and the maintenance of specialized weapons. All of the Commando Marine units are headquartered in Lorient, France, and are classified as Tier 2 Special Forces within the French Navy. This makes them equivalent to the U.S. Navy SEALs, but distinct from specialized units like SEAL Team 6, also known as DevGru. Notably, both Commando de Montfort and Commando de Penfentenyo each have a Tier 1 platoon, elevating part of their capabilities to the highest operational standard. Commando Hubert. Motto, coming from the night, they carry the thunder of Neptune. Commando Hubert is named after Lieutenant Augustin Hubert, an Army infantry officer in the Free French Forces who served as a platoon leader in the French K-Gun Troop. His troop operated alongside Troop 1 and the French 8th Troop, integrated into No. 4 Commando for the D-Day landings. Lieutenant Hubert was killed on June 6, 1944, during the first hour of combat while maneuvering to seize the casino of Ouistreham near Sword Beach. Unlike the other Commando Marine units, Commando Hubert's headquarters is located in Saint-Mandrier, Toulon, France. Nicknamed the Frogmen due to their combat diving expertise, Commando Hubert is the elite Tier 1 unit among the commandos. They officially transitioned to a combat swimmer unit on March 30, 1953, making them the foremost experts in underwater operations. Membership in Commando Hubert is highly selective, with candidates drawn from other Commando Marine units after a minimum of 5 years of service. This ensures that only the most experienced and capable personnel join their ranks. Commando Hubert frequently collaborates with other elite French units, such as the GIGN in counterterrorism operations, and they are renowned for working with the DGSE in covert special operations. Their skills extend beyond underwater missions to include direct action, extractions, operational intelligence, counterterrorism, and anti-piracy operations. Before we move on, it's worth noting the existence of another unit known as the 1st Health Service Command, Special Forces, or 1st CSSFS.
Première chefferie du service de santé force spéciale.
The CSSFS operates under the Directorate of Forces Medicine and is fully dedicated to supporting Special Forces units. As a medical component of the Special Operations Command, COS, it also serves as a critical capacity booster for the Armed Forces Health Services. This includes expertise in critical care for exceptional situations, in-flight surgery, telemedicine, and advanced transfusion protocols, among other specialized medical capabilities. Now that we've covered the Army, Navy, and Air Force, you might think we're done with the French military, but there's one more branch to discuss. At the start, when we introduced the French armed forces and their branches, we mentioned the Army, Navy, and Air Force. However, the French military actually consists of 4 branches. The fourth and final branch is the National Gendarmerie. The National Gendarmerie is one of 2 national law enforcement agencies in France, alongside the National Police. Although it is a branch of the French Armed Forces, the Gendarmerie primarily operates under the jurisdiction of the Ministry of the Interior for domestic duties, with additional responsibilities assigned by the Ministry of Defense. The Gendarmerie's responsibilities include policing smaller towns, suburbs, and rural areas, crowd and riot control, and conducting criminal investigations, including tackling cybercrime. Historically, the Gendarmerie traces its origins to the Marshalsea of the Ancient Regime, a military police force that operated from medieval times until the French Revolution. Today, it functions as a law enforcement agency alongside the National Police. Unlike the civilian National Police, which is responsible for maintaining order in cities and larger urban areas, the Gendarmerie retains its military status and undertakes defense-related missions. It also serves as the military police for the French Armed Forces. While technically under the Ministry of Defense, the Gendarmerie operates mainly under the Ministry of the Interior. This dual identity allows it to perform unique roles, including managing specialized units with both military and law enforcement capabilities. Just like the other branches, the National Gendarmerie also has its own Special Operations Capable Unit. This unit is arguably the most discussed when it comes to French Special Forces and is widely considered the best Special Forces unit in France. The National Gendarmerie Intervention Group, or in French,
Groupe d'intervention de la Gendarmerie nationale,
most commonly known as GIGN, is the elite tactical police special forces unit of the French National Gendarmerie. It is regarded as the premier Tier 1 special forces unit of France. Established in 1973 and operational by 1974, the GIGN was initially created as a small tactical unit specializing in delicate hostage situations, mainly after the Munich massacre at the 1972 Summer Olympics. Over the years, it has evolved into a larger force with expanded responsibilities and enhanced capabilities. The unit's motto, Commitment for Life, reflects its dedication to its missions. GIGN serves as France's primary counterterrorism and hostage rescue unit and is internationally renowned for its expertise. Its primary task is counterterrorism, placing GIGN operatives at the forefront of any French counterterrorism response. While most of its operations occur within France, GIGN is part of the French Armed Forces, enabling it to operate globally. It also protects government officials and defends critical sites, including embassies in conflict zones. For instance, GIGN is currently providing security at the French embassy in Ukraine. Their training far exceeds that of a typical police force, with parachute training being mandatory for all operatives. GIGN gained global recognition in December 1994 after a successful operation to storm Air France Flight 8969. The plane had been hijacked by the armed Islamic group of Algeria at Marseille-Provence Airport. In the daring assault, all 4 hijackers were eliminated, and no passengers were harmed. The GIGN is designated by the International Civil Aviation Organization, ICAO, as the primary special unit to conduct training and advise other member states' special forces in hostage rescue operations aboard planes. GIGN is currently organized into 4 main detachments. Intervention Force. This is the original GIGN and functions as its primary assault unit. It is divided into 4 sections or platoons, 2 of which are always on alert. These sections include specialized teams. 2 focus on high-altitude jumps, while the other 2 specialize in diving. Observation and Search Unit. This is GIGN's Special Reconnaissance Detachment, handling intelligence gathering and surveillance. Security and Protection Force. This detachment specializes in the protection of executives and sensitive sites. Gendarmerie Detachment of the GSPR Presidential Security Group. Originally a Gendarmerie unit, the GSPR is now jointly operated by the Gendarmerie and the National Police. It is tasked with protecting the President of France. There are also additional components. Regional Branches Force. These are regional GIGN units stationed in 14 locations across France. They fall under GIGN's operational authority during a crisis. Engineering and Support Division. This division supports operations with specialized skills such as long-range sniping, breaching, assault engineering, and handling special devices. National Training Center for Specialized Intervention. This center oversees the selection, training, and retraining of GIGN operators and other personnel from the Gendarmerie or foreign forces. The selection process for GIGN is notoriously rigorous, with high attrition rates. Candidates must meet stringent requirements, be serving members of the Gendarmerie with a minimum of 4 years of exemplary service, hold French citizenship, be capable of airborne certification, be under the age of 34. Training lasts 14 months and includes intensive instruction in long-range shooting, hand-to-hand combat, and negotiation skills. GIGN maintains strict secrecy, prohibiting operators from being photographed and keeping certain aspects of their training classified. Since its creation, GIGN has conducted over 1,800 missions, freed more than 600 hostages, and arrested over 500 suspects. Despite the inherent dangers of their operations, this unit has suffered the loss of only about 10 members in action. Now that we've covered the special forces of the French military, let's turn to another domain of France's elite units, the special forces under the National Police. The Research, Assistance, Intervention, Deterrence, RAID, is the premier tactical unit of the French National Police, serving as its elite counterpart to the GIGN of the National Gendarmerie. Founded in 1985, RAID specializes in counterterrorism, hostage rescue, VIP protection, site security during special events, combating organized crime, surveillance and arrests of high-profile criminals, handling deranged and dangerous individuals, and even training foreign police forces. It also evaluates new equipment and techniques for law enforcement. RAID operates under the direct authority of the Director General of the National Police, who in turn reports to the Minister of the Interior. Historically, there were also the National Police Intervention Groups, GIPN, established in 1972 as regional intervention units. However, in 2015, 13 regional GIPN units were integrated into RAID and redesignated as RAID branches, streamlining operations under a unified command. RAID is organized into 3 main sections. Special Forces Section. This section handles direct action tasks such as interventions, monitoring, protection, and high-risk operations. Research and Development Section. Dedicated to studying advanced techniques and gathering intelligence, this section is divided into 3 specialized groups. Intelligence Group focuses on gathering and analyzing critical information. Technical Group assesses and develops operational tools. Weaponry Group focuses on evaluating and improving armaments. Psychological and Crisis Management Section. This section is crucial for negotiations and managing the psychological aspects of interventions. It provides support during hostage crises, self-harm situations, violent mental disorders, and other crises. Composed of forensic experts, psychologists, and physicians, it also offers psychological aid to RAID personnel and the broader police force. The negotiation group, part of this section, is always on alert to independently address crises. During full-scale RAID operations, it acts as a reconnaissance unit, preparing the groundwork for intervention. Joining RAID is no easy feat. Candidates must have at least 5 years of service in the national police and pass a rigorous selection process. Remember the Joint Helicopter Group, or GIH, of the Army we mentioned earlier? Yes, that unit provides air support to both GIGN and RAID. Before RAID was established, the French National Police lacked a national unit comparable to the Gendarmerie's GIGN, and instead relied on regional units like the Search and Intervention Brigade, or in French, Brigade de Recherche et d'Intervention,
Brigade de recherche et d'intervention.
BRI. The BRI, commonly known as the Anti-Gang Brigade, is a tactical unit of the French National Police. It was first formed in 1964 under the authority of the Paris Prefecture. These units specialize in tackling serious criminal cases such as armed robbery and kidnappings. BRIs employ a combination of traditional investigative techniques and modern technology to track and apprehend criminals. Interestingly, most BRI missions are conducted by plainclothes officers, blending into environments to gather intelligence and execute operations discreetly. Today, there are more than 15 BRI units spread across France's major cities, with the first and most prominent being the Paris BRI. Despite their tactical nature, BRIs are not classified as special forces. They are regular law enforcement units and form part of the French criminal police. Their primary mission is to arrest violent criminals. This contrasts with RAID, which is a dedicated special response team operating directly under the Director General of the National Police. RAID handles high-stakes counterterrorism and crisis scenarios, while BRIs focus on serious but conventional criminal cases. Now let's delve into French special operations at the intelligence level. The General Directorate for Internal Security, or in French,
Direction générale de la sécurité intérieure.
DGSI, is France's primary internal security agency. Operating under the jurisdiction of the Ministry of the Interior, the DGSI is often compared to the NSA in the United States. Its responsibilities include counter-espionage, counter-terrorism, cybercrime prevention, and monitoring groups, organizations, and social phenomena that could pose a threat to national security. The DGSI was created in 2008 as the Central Directorate of Interior Intelligence, following the merger of the Central Directorate of General Intelligence and the Directorate of Territorial Surveillance of the National Police. In 2014, it was restructured, renamed, and placed directly under the Ministry of the Interior's authority. Unlike external intelligence agencies, the DGSI does not maintain a specialized unit for special operations. Domestic security tasks requiring such operations are managed by established tactical units like GIGN and RAID, which are equipped for these purposes. France's external intelligence agency, the Directorate General for External Security, or
Direction générale de la sécurité extérieure.
DGSE, serves a different role. Often compared to the CIA in the United States or MI6 in the United Kingdom, the DGSE was established in 1982 under the Ministry of Armed Forces. It is tasked with protecting France's national security through intelligence gathering, counterintelligence, and foreign operations. Within the DGSE, its covert action arm, the Action Division, operates under the Directorate of Operations. This unit is shrouded in secrecy and rarely discussed publicly. Comparable to the CIA's Special Activities Center, or MI6's E Squadron, the Action Division is responsible for planning and executing clandestine missions, often involving black operations. Its areas of expertise include sabotage, destruction of strategic assets, targeted assassinations, detentions, and kidnappings, interrogations, including extreme methods, and the infiltration or exfiltration of personnel from hostile territories. It is also equipped to conduct hostage rescue missions. Personnel in the Action Division are recruited from elite branches of the French military, particularly other special forces units, ensuring they bring specialized skills such as parachuting, combat diving, commando operations, and air support. This diversity of expertise allows the unit to execute high-risk, precision operations that are vital to France's external security. Other intelligence agencies, such as the Directorate of Military Intelligence, DRM, the Directorate of Defense Intelligence and Security, DRSD, the National Directorate of Intelligence and Customs Investigations, DNRED, and other agencies also play critical roles. However, we'll save those for another video. So, there you have it. The entire French Special Forces explained. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. It really helps a lot. I hope you learned something new today, and if you want to see a video about your country's special forces, be sure to comment below. And before I end the video, one more thing. The existence of these special forces units is public knowledge. However, there may be other units that exist but are not publicly acknowledged. This is common practice within the special forces community worldwide. Countries known for their special operations don't reveal every single unit they have to the world. Even when I do find some information, I need to ensure it's publicly accessible or doesn't violate any journalistic principles. That being said, I hope you have a wonderful new year, and I will see you next time.